The Bank of East Asia lays off 180 staff members. A Chinese peacekeeper among those killed during an attack on a UN camp in Mali. And in the United States, a murder-suicide at UCLA leaves 3 dead.
Good evening. The Bank of East Asia has laid off about 180 employees. The bank's chairman called the decision regrettable. Evelina Leung reports.
In a statement, the Bank of East Asia said after reviewing its business and operations in Hong Kong, it is implementing a realignment exercise to enhance operational efficiency. This includes laying off 180 staff members. The cut accounts for 3.8% of its workforce in Hong Kong. Sources say the employees who were made redundant were in the Securities, Mandatory Provident Fund, and IT departments. At the same time, the bank announced that all 22 retail outlets of a wholly owned subsidiary, East Asia Securities Company Limited, will be closed by July 8th. The bank explained that more than 90% of East Asia Securities transactions are completed online or through the phone. So, maintaining retail outlets to provide counter-trading services has become very costly for the bank. And there is a duplication of resources in securities business operations between East Asia Securities and the Bank of East Asia. Affected customers have already been notified, and the East Asia Securities will continue its services through the internet and telephone. In a letter to staff members, Bank of East Asia Chairman David Lee said he deeply regrets today's announcement. He also said it had not been easy to make today's decision. Lee added he hopes the restructuring will create a more solid business model and structure for the bank to tackle the challenging business environment. Outside the bank's headquarters, some protesters voiced their discontent. The Hong Kong Banking Employees Association submitted a petition letter to the bank's representative. They called the laying off of staff regrettable because the bank had not consulted the employees beforehand. Also, they believe the Bank of East Asia's decision could lead to other banks laying off staff as well. So they called on the bank to retract the layoff decision. Evelina Leung, TVB News.
A team of lawyers defending 7 police officers say media footage of their clients allegedly punching and kicking an Occupy movement protester should not be used as evidence in court. This is in relation to Ken Sung's beating case in 2014. Winna Wong tells us more.
The 7 policemen arrived at the district court this afternoon in matching attire, as usual. The order of business for today was to discuss whether 11 pieces of videos and photos should be accepted as evidence in court. They include news footage from TVB, ATV, Now TV, and Apple Daily, as well as closed-circuit TV recordings from the Central Police Station. The panel of defense lawyers representing the 7 officers officially raised an objection to the admissibility of the video footage. Senior counsel Lawrence Locke, who represents Chief Inspector Wang Cho-shing, argued that the prosecution side could not verify where the footage came from. He also said the prosecutors could not prove the footage had not been tampered with, nor identify how they were recorded. Senior counsel David Leung from the prosecution side said the videos were taken from the media outlet's official websites. 3 TVB staff have also been called to testify in court to confirm the authenticity of its footage. The incident happened in October 2014 during the Occupy Central protests. Protester Ken Sung apparently poured liquid onto police officers at an underpass on Lunghwa Road. He was later arrested. Several local news outlets caught on camera 7 officers pulling him aside, then proceeded to punch and kick him. On Monday, Tsang was sentenced to 5 weeks in jail for assaulting police and resisting arrest. The defense in the current case said earlier that identity would be a key issue. The officers have pleaded not guilty to 1 joint count of causing grievous bodily harm with intent. In addition, Officer Chan Siu-tan has pleaded not guilty to 1 count of common assault. Winna Wong, TVB News.
In the West African country of Mali, 4 people were killed, including a Chinese peacekeeper, in 2 separate terrorist attacks. 4 other Chinese peacekeepers were seriously wounded. An arm of al-Qaeda claimed responsibility for the attacks. Alan Buknia reports.
Eyewitnesses said there was a powerful explosion after a car rammed into the perimeter of a base used by Chinese military engineers assigned to the United Nations. There were also reports of mortar and rocket fire. A later attack on a UN mine-defusing agency in another part of the city of Gao killed 2 Malian security guards and a French mines expert. About a dozen people were injured. Islamic extremists have been attacking international peacekeepers in Mali over the last 3 years, after a French-led military campaign ousted the jihadists from power. In Beijing, the foreign ministry described the attacks as terrorism that would not be tolerated. Spokeswoman Hua Chunying said China has about 2,400 peacekeepers stationed in Africa and will continue to support the cause of world peace. A UN spokesman condemned the attack in the strongest terms and noted that 12 peacekeepers with the mission were killed in May alone.
The Secretary General urges the government of Mali, with the support of its partners, to expeditiously investigate and hold the perpetrators accountable. He also calls on the people of Mali to provide information on the attacks to the authorities.
UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon asked the Security Council to add more than 2,000 peacekeepers to the mission in Mali, bringing the authorized strength to almost 13,300. The additional troops would bring capabilities such as intelligence gathering and surveillance, explosives disposal, and protecting supply convoys. Alan Buknia, TVB News.
Hundreds of police swarmed the University of California, Los Angeles as a murder-suicide left 3 people dead yesterday. Staff and students barricaded themselves in classrooms during the ordeal before a gunman shot himself after killing 2 other men on campus. James Aiken reports.
The emergency call came in during morning classes. About 2 hours after police tactical teams locked down the campus, they were able to confirm the scene was safe and no shooters were at large.
This is appears to be an isolated incident within a small room within the engineering building. We have 2 adult male victims who are dead from apparent gunshot wounds. This may be what appears to be what's commonly referred to as a murder-suicide.
Investigators are trying to determine a motive for the attack after recovering a gun and what appeared to be a suicide note at the scene. The incident sent shockwaves across the normally serene campus.
I think the number one thing is fear, because when you don't know what's going on, I think a lot of word spreads and a lot of panic spreads.
It's scary. It was really scary. I mean, I had no idea what was going on. It's so surreal. This confusion. Like, luckily, I mean, we had these updates constantly hitting us, which is great. And otherwise, it would have been even more terrifying.
Those updates were provided by a university information alert system that advised staff and students to take safety precautions during the ordeal.
It let us know that there was a shooter on site and to go on to complete lockdown. We've had some training on this, so we immediately locked all our doors, stayed away from the doors, and just awaited for instruction.
With more than 43,000 students, UCLA is one of the more well-regarded schools in the University of California system. The mayor of Los Angeles praised the extraordinary grace and calm of the staff and students during the ordeal, but he added he was angered by the fear that one person with a firearm could inflict on a community. James Aiken, TVB News.
On the U.S. presidential campaign trail, Donald Trump is taking heat over a class action lawsuit that accuses him of scamming the uneducated and elderly in a fraudulent scheme. It also has Democratic presidential rival Hillary Clinton warning voters that's exactly how Trump will run the country.
Trump's secrets of selling were unsealed by a federal judge to exhibit how his now defunct Trump University was run. Some students paid as much as $35,000 US for private mentoring with real estate experts. Former employees allege the entire curriculum was built on false hopes and lies aimed at ripping people off. But Trump's campaign aired an ad of former students who directly benefited.
I must tell you that the courses that I took were outstanding.
The returns on those deals were incalculable. They were just amazing.
We never felt pressured to do anything that we didn't want to do.
The case won't go to trial until after the November presidential election. Still, Trump accuses the presiding judge of being biased because he's Mexican. The controversy made for perfect campaign ammunition for Democratic frontrunner Hillary Clinton.
This is just more evidence that Donald Trump himself is a fraud. He is trying to scam America the way he scammed all those people at Trump U.
Campaigning in California, Bernie Sanders chose to belittle Trump's immigration policies.
Now, Donald Trump may not understand it, but diversity is strength, and the function of our immigration policy should be to unite families, not to divide families.
And President Barack Obama warned voters not to fall for Trump's claim that he'll boost America's economy via his stellar negotiation skills.
He just says, well, I'm going to negotiate a better deal. Well, how exactly are you going to negotiate that? What magic wand do you have? And usually the answer is he doesn't have an answer.
Foreign Minister Wang Yi berated a Canadian reporter in a news conference during his visit to Ottawa. Wang was holding a joint news conference with Canadian Foreign Affairs Minister Stéphane Dion. He appeared visibly angry when a journalist from a web outlet asked about the missing booksellers incident in Hong Kong and the jailing of Canadian Kevin Garrett in 2014. Garrett, who ran a coffee shop close to the North Korean border and conducted Christian aid work, was charged with espionage. Wang called the journalist's question irresponsible.
I have to say that your question is full of prejudice against China and arrogance, where I don't know where that come from, and this is totally unacceptable. I have to ask whether you understand China. Have you been to China? Do you know that China has lifted more than 600 million people out of poverty? And do you know that China is now the second largest economy in the world from a very low foundation? Do you think development is possible for China without protection of human rights?
Still ahead in our broadcast tonight, flight delays in Taiwan as a major airport is flooded amid a thunderstorm. Local cervical cancer cases go up as many women refuse to get tested. And Hong Kong's first air-conditioned tram to go into service next Monday.